Okay, sorry for that delay. I'm back. So I was opening my datapad here. Has it opened? Okay, was this what we were doing yesterday? Let me clean everything and we begin afresh. Okay, so we know our syntax for that. You have to write this main is called the main function. So for anything to be executed, it has to be enclosed in this main function. We give it the word void because it doesn't return anything. So this main function is, I don't know, it is the main function. Main function is the main function. I don't know whether that makes sense, but it is the function that where anything that has to be executed, it has to be enclosed into that main function. So later on, we shall jump into other functions, and even if we declare them somewhere else, and we still have to call them within the main function for them to be executed. So if you did Java, you should know something about the main function. So it is the same concept here. So I wanted to touch on the multiple cases for the same action when we are dealing with the switch statement. Okay. So let's give an example. Let's say we have, okay, let me have a variable called day. Let me have a variable called day. I can give it a value of 1, maybe 0. Okay, and then I want to switch this, switch there, switch there for, sorry for that. Then I want to, okay, I want to switch there, and then I want this, my variable there, to be evaluated for cases when it has various values or multiple values. For example, the first case, what I call case 1, when it has 1 as the value, what should be executed? What I'm trying to do here is that I want, if the day is, the entry is 1 up to 5, it should return for me that this is a weekday. And then if the entry for day is 6 or 7, it should print for me that this is a weekend. That's what I'm trying to achieve here. But we can see that 1 up to 5, they will have the same, they're going to be having the same output. So it doesn't make sense for me to go printing this on each case. Case 1, this is a weekday. Case 2, this is a weekday. That is too much work. Okay, for you, you can see it as not too much, but you reach cases where you're handling something even bigger than just 5 cases. And in programming, it is not advisable to be repeating yourself. You should write codes in a way that is smart, and you don't have to write a lot. That's why even in this 10 days of study of Flutter Study Jam, we shall also show you how you can use AI to simplify your work, and you don't have to write a lot. So it is the same thing I'm doing here. I'm trying to avoid repeating this, the code to be executed on the same case. So I know that the value for case 1 will be the same for case 2, for case 3, case 4, up to case 5. So what I'll do, this is what I'll do. Case 2, case 2. That does not have indentation issues. You might just indent for your own uniformity. though me I'm being shabby here, but that does not mind a lot about indentation issues. It is only in Python where it is a big deal. Okay, so I want to print okay, and then after this I want to break, then case 6. So the same thing here, case 6 and case 7 both have the same output. So still I will combine them and give them the code to be executed at the same time. Okay. Then I will print here. This is a weekend. So the reason why we have, okay, so the reason why we always have the default statement, hey, what? Okay. The reason why we have a default statement is that now, for example, if someone comes in and puts their 8, 10, you can see that that does not make sense according to what we are doing here. So you have to put something that is default in case the input is invalid for the context you're trying to work with. The input is invalid. Okay, the word invalid was invalid there. Okay, then let's run this. So it is telling us this is a weekday, and this will be the same if I put 4 or anything in that range. It will tell us this is a weekday still. Now if I put 7, we shall have what? This is a weekend. And if I put 20, what should we have? Okay, I will resort to my VS Code to avoid these delays. Okay, just to confirm, am I still audible and my screen is visible? Okay. Hey, this is still running. Wow. Let me copy the whole of this, and I have it in my VS Code here. Okay, this is my VS Code. Save. I saved and run. Okay, you can see this is not clear. You can see the input is invalid as we expected. Okay. Oh, what did I do? So this is how you use switch for multiple cases. If you want to combine multiple cases and give them one execution code, that is how you use it. You just keep putting case, whatever case it might be, until you, then after the last case, you put your code to be executed, you break, and you continue with other cases like that. Okay, moving on. When do you use switch statement and when do you use if else statement? So you should use the if-else statement. Use the if-else statement when you're doing when you're comparing the same variable to multiple discrete values. When you have 3 or more options, values are compile time constants. Okay, code readability is important. Pattern matching is needed. Okay, and when do you use if-else? The main issue is when you're dealing with these comparison operators and complex Boolean conditions. For example, uh, the the example we did yesterday using the if-else statement cannot be done using switch statement because it has those complex because we are doing something like if mark is greater than basically we are doing a grading system, like if mark is 80 and above, that's A, 75 and above, that's B plus, 70, something like that. So you can see that you have to deal with comparisons, a lot of comparisons there. So there you work with if else, because at the end of the day the output will be a boolean. And for the for the switch statement, switch works with strings and integers. Actually, that's the main thing. This variable here, this variable, it is always either an integer or a string. So it should not be a boolean. That's why we could not use it with on. We are now looking at loops. Loops, they are the same loops you looked at in for loop, while loop, do while loop, okay, for in loop, okay. So when do you use for loop? When you know the number of iterations. For example, if you want to do something, the number of times you want that action to be done, then you use the for loop. If you don't, that's when you use the while loop. And we are saying also for condition-based iterations. And then when you need at least one execution, you use the do while loop. Then there is also something we call the for in loop. This is works with lists. We shall look at it also. Okay, so looking at the syntax, this is the syntax for the for loop. Let me just go to VS Code. Let me go to VS Code. Oh, let me go to VS Code and I start right away. Let me save this as loop.dat. Guys, don't forget the extension. It is .dat. Then void main. Okay, so we want to experiment with for loop. So the for loop, like if you remember the one for Java or C programming, it is exactly the same here. So you initialize I. For one reason or the other, we like using I here. You can use literally anything. I equals to 0, then you give the condition I should be, we can say less than or equal to 10. I want it to print from 0. Okay, I want it to print from 1 up to 10, so I'll put 1 here. And since I want it to print up to 10, I'll say less than or equal to. Okay, then I want it to be incrementing. Wow. So inside here, this is when I say print I. There we go. We have 1, 2, 3 up to 10. So here you should initialize your variable. I initialized mine to 1. Then here you give a condition, like that's why we said for the case of for loop, you should know how many times you want your loop to run. Me, I wanted mine to run 10 times. Someone might be wondering, why do we use loops? Why? Let's say I wanted to print the word hello world. Let me open something new here, and I say hello dot a void main, print hello world. Hello. Run. So hello world has been printed. If I want to print it twice, I will have to copy this and paste it here. Oh, what did I copy? Save and run. There we go. I have hello 2 times. So if I want it 1,000 times, it means I will have to do that until 1,000. Said in programming, you have to, we strive to act. That's why we have loops. So to achieve this with the loops, I will say for int I equals to 0, I should be less than, let's say I want it 10 times. Then I want to increment, I want it to be incrementing. Then inside here, what I want to be done, I want to print hello world 10 times. I put here oh, I have hello world printed 10 times. If I wanted it 1,000 times, that's ridiculous, but let me do it. Okay, it is printing it 1,000 times, so we can give it time. I will stop it at that, but it does that. Okay, so that's why we have loops. That's why we have loops. That's the main reason why we have loops. So there is another use case for the for loop. If you have worked with Python, this is how you use the for loop in Python. It is almost the same. So the for in loop is used when you're dealing with collections or lists. Here they are called lists or arrays. Tomorrow we have George. I don't know whether George is on this call yet, but George is our instructor tomorrow. He will cover the, okay, cover collections in details tomorrow. So don't miss and don't be late. So for now, let's continue. I want to see how we can use the for in loop. So I'm going to create a list of names. Let me create a list of names. So names are strings. This is the syntax for declaring lists. Like I said, George will do more about this tomorrow. Don't miss, don't be late. Edwin, have Sathak. Today you will help me and you tell me how to pronounce your name.
Yes, sir. Sir, my name's pronunciation is Sarthak.
Sathak.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. I got it this time. Okay, so
Okay, sir.
here
Thank
we
you.
have Sarthak. Then who else do we have here? Kill me if I don't make this up. Then we can also have pleasure. Finally, we have a lady here. I would love to add a lady. Let me see. Let's have Tracy here. Okay.
Don't forget
Yes.
don't forget Christine.
Oh, Christine. Okay. That's interesting. It is interesting. By the way, me, I like it when I see most of your colleagues, now I'm talking to the ladies who are here, most of your colleagues shy away from these things for reasons I don't know. Corridors, I hear, they say that it is difficult. But that's just what they say. Everything is difficult before you try it. But if you try it and give it time, nothing is difficult. And for this study jam, we are saying with now AI on board, now nothing is difficult forever. Everything is easy. So make sure you inspire your keep trying and not give up. Okay. So this is a list which I want to try to print using my for loop. I will say for name in. Okay, let me make these names and then say for string name in names. What do you want to do? Put your code to be executed here. Print each name. That's what I want to be done. Okay, why should I make it more interesting? Let me do this. Hey, my name is, and then, okay, when I save this and run, hey, my name is, so it should iterate this list of names here. And for each case, I want it to print, hey, my name is Simon. Hey, my name is Edrin. Hey, my name is Sat. Hey, my name is Herbert. And hey, my name is Tracy. So without loops, I'll do that manually, which is not funny. But now with loops, I just write this loop. And when I run it like that, where is that? Okay, there we go. Hey, my name is Edrin Herbert, and so on, like we had agreed. So this is the for in loop, guys. This is the for in loop. Like I said, it is similar in functionality like the for loop of Python. Okay, moving on. If there are any questions, please you always raise your hand and ask your question. If you put it in the comment section, okay, still our host will see it and raise it, although me, I might not see it, but our hosts, I know they will see it, so it is still good. Then moving on to the while loop, let's look at the while loop for now. I will comment this. The while loop, we are saying this is the just a minute. Okay, this is the syntax for the while loop. You write the keyword while, you put your condition in this. I have an issue with these symbols. I don't know where these are brackets, where they are braces, but whatever they are, you write your while keyword, then you put your condition inside here, and then your code to be executed inside the curly braces, and also still inside the curly or decrement. So what we are trying to do is almost the same thing like we did for the for loop. For loop, we have initialization, then we have the condition, and then incrementing. So that's what we have to do with loops. Initialize, give condition, print, not print, execute, and then increment. So that's the same thing. It is almost the same, but with different style. So, which example can I use here? Should I age equals to 20? Okay, just a minute. So, age equals to 20. Age equals to 20. Now I want to use my while loop. So, I will write the keyword while. Here, I want my condition, which I want to be evaluated on this age. So while age is greater than or equal to 18, what do I want to happen? I want something executed. I want to print, hey, you are an So after executing, you have to increment from here. Age. This doesn't make much sense, but let's just do it. Let's see, will this program run? Let's look at it. Who can predict what the output of this program will be? When you look at this, what do you predict according to what I've put here? I've initialized age and given it a value of 20. And then I'm saying while age is greater than or equal to 18, it should print, hey, you are an adult. And then I'm saying increment age. So who can predict the output for this program? Okay, let me have a look. Sarthak, you can go ahead.
Sir, it will infinitely print, hey, you are an adult.
Yes, why?
Sir, because the condition will always be true as it is always be greater than 20. 18.
Yeah, let's check whether you're right. Yeah, he was right. You can see it is printing, hey, you are an adult, and it won't stop until it eats out all my memory. So I have to stop it. So this condition, that is the thing you have to be very careful with loops. If you mess up with the conditions, the program will run infinitely, like he has said. So this will always be true because I started with age being 18, and with this condition age will be incremented. In the next iteration it will be 21, the next one 22, and so on and so forth. So with each time or with each iteration, age will always be greater than or equal to 18, which will make the loop to run forever. Is there a hand? Okay, we can continue. So this doesn't make sense. Let me change it. Let me have the same program which we had on, but when I'm using the while loop. So I'll say var I equals to 0 or 1. Then I say while I want to achieve what we achieved with for loop, and I print 1 up to 10. That's what I'm trying to achieve. So I will say while I is less than or equal to 10. So you should be knowing what you want to do before you write the condition. Like I said, I want to print from 1 up to 10. That's why I've initialized 1 here. I want to stop at 10. That's why I have to put 10 as my upper limit here. And then, okay, I want to print I. Then when I run this, oh, we are having another infinite loop. Who predicted this? Can someone tell us why we are having an infinite loop again, even after, if that, okay. Anyone else apart from Sathak? Anyone else who has an idea? Okay, pleasure. Let's have pleasure this time. Why do we have an infinite loop? It kept on printing 1 and that's all. Why?
I think it will keep on, it will become an infinite loop because we are saying while 1 is less or equal to 10, and it will always be less or equal to 10.
Could you repeat, please?
It will be an infinite loop because we said it will print I, which is 1, if I is less or equal to 10. And 1 will always be less or equal to 10.
Yes. Yeah, he is right. He is right. 1 is less than 10. So it will print 1 and keep on printing 1 forever. Because 1 is less than 10, it can't do anything apart from that. But our task was to print 1 up to 10. So what change can we do here in order to achieve this program printing 1 up to 10 instead of just printing 1? Okay, yeah, Pole, yes.
I think you can, to do that, you have to use an increment operator.
Yes, thank you so much. So we have to increment. This is what we didn't do here. That's why we had an infinite loop. That's what I loved about this class. People are attentive and everyone is contributing, and that's how it should be. So we have incremented I. Hopefully, we shall be successful. And yeah, we were successful. 1, 2, 3, up to. So that's how the for loop works. Sorry, the while loop. You write your condition here, and then the code to be executed, and then the incrementing also happens inside these braces. Then there is also the do while loop. Do while loop, it is similar to while, but the body is executed at least once before checking the condition. Like you can see here, we are having, okay, we are having do, we put our code to execute here before we put the while condition outside. So let's check how so let's print the same thing. Let's print the same thing 1 up to 10 using the do while loop. We shall say do, then curly braces, we put our code to be printed. Print I. Okay, this I is not defined, so let me uncomment this so that we can use it. Okay, print I, and then you have to increment. Then outside here is where you put your condition. While I is less than save and run, and there we go. We still have 1, 2 up to 10 using the do while loop. So the while and do while loop are different in such a way that for the case of while loop, you first evaluate the condition before executing the code. Do while loop, for it has a chance to execute at least once before evaluating the condition. For example, let me put a condition here which will be false for the start value or the value initialized. For example, let me put, can I put 20? Yeah, let me put 20. And then save and run this. Okay, it has printed 20 only. It has printed 20 only. So this, what it has done here is that at first it gets I as 20, it prints it, then it increments it, it becomes 21. After I becoming 21, it now checks the condition. Is I less than or equal to 10? No. And it breaks out. That's how the do while loop works. But it has first printed this 20. For the case of the while loop, it will not print this 20 here. We can check it from, let me first comment this out. Let me first comment this out and then I use, so if I is 20, let's see whether the while loop will print it. You can see the output is nothing. Let me first clear this to avoid confusion. Okay, you can see the output is nothing. We said I equals to 20. If I is less than or equal to 10, print I. The while loop, the concept here is that the while loop first looks at the condition. If the condition evaluates to false, the loop breaks or stops from there, does not execute beyond that. But the do while loop, for it, it first prints the first value before evaluating the condition. So when you see here, it first gets the value of I as 20. It prints it, and then after printing it, it evaluates it, it increments it to become 21. So the value of I, which is passed to this condition here, is 21, not 20. I don't know whether I've been understood. If you have any question to do with while and do while loop, you can ask. If you're confused, you can ask. Good, guys?
Yes, we are good.
Okay, so moving on. That's the while and do while loop. So when do you use what and when do you use while and when do you use do while? If you want the condition to check the condition before executing, then you will have to use the while loop. If you want to execute at least once before checking the condition, then definitely you have to use the do while loop. The other side, the for loop, like we said, if you know the number of iterations, then there you go, you have to go for the for loop. Then we have the break and continue keyword. Let me go through this very fast. I see time is running. I'm going to go through the break and continue statements. Let me use them with for loop. You can use them with any loop. I'll try them with the for loop. For I, int I equals to 1. Okay, I should be less than or equal to, then I should be incrementing. Then what do I want to do? I want to say if I'm going to first work with the break statement, then I'll explain what break does. So I'll say if I, okay, we have, okay, we had something like that. Let me just modify this. I first test it without the break statement. So for I, beginning from 0 up to 10, blah blah, print hello world. So this time let's print I, save and run. Hey, it's printing 1. Okay, for I less than or equal to 0, I less than or equal to 10, increment. I put 1 here instead of I. So that it is printing from 0 up to 10. As you can see here, as you can see, 0 up to 10. So I want to include the break statement. What I want to say is that if the compiler reaches an incident where I is equal to 5, it should just break out. It shouldn't continue executing. So let me put that. Okay, sorry, this should remain here. I want to say break. Terminate. So you can see this time it is printing from 0 up to 4. Why? Because I have involved this. What it does is that when I is 0, the condition is met, and this if condition is not met because I is not 5. So it goes on to print 0. When it is 1, same story, it is printed. 2, same story, it is printed. 3, 4, it is same story, it is printed. But the moment we reach the 5th iteration, or the point when I equals to 5, this condition will be met. I will be 5, and so we shall break out of the loop. That is the logic here. I hope we are okay with this. So I'm going to continue statement is not far from this. What the continue statement does, break, you stop, the loop stops executing, break out of it. But the continue statement, it just ignores that specific iteration. For example, let me use this same example, and I say if I equals to 5, and I say continue, and I run. You can see 5 is not printed. You have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 5 is not printed in my output. It has been ignored. That's what the continuous statement does. It just ignores the iteration when this condition is met and continues executing. Break, you break out of the loop immediately. Just hoping that is okay. Are we good, guys?
Yes, yes.
Okay, do we have someone who can use the continue statement and then they print even numbers? Either you can share your screen or you can direct me to do it here. I want you to use the continue statement to print even numbers here. Would love to have a go. You use the continue statement and then you print even numbers between 0 and 10. Let's have it at that, from 0 up to 10. Anyone? Okay, let me take it. So still I want my loop to run from 0 up to 10. What I'll change is the condition. We know that even numbers are divisible by 2. A number being divisible by 2 means when you divide it by 2, it leaves remainder 0. So I will say if I divided by 2 is equal to 1. I don't know whether this is understandable. This statement means, yesterday we looked at the modulus operator and we said I percentage 2 will return the answer when I is divided by 2. So here I'm meaning that if I divided by 2 leaves a remainder that is 1, then ignore that iteration and just print and we see whether we have it. Yeah, we have 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So that's how that works. Does anyone have a question to do with this? I don't know whether I've explained it well. You can ask if there is a question to do with the continue statement or this particular example. Are we good to go? Okay, perfect. So that is that loop. Okay, we are done with break and continue. Then finally, to do with loops, there is something called labeled loops, labeled breaks for nested loops. Okay, let me go into that in a nutshell. Okay. Should I first so let's also have some nested loops here. Int j equals to 0. J should be less than or equal to 4. J should be incrementing, and then that. Then I will have okay. Let me reduce this. Then what do I want to print? I want to print I comma j. and run this. There we go, we have that. It's still so big. Let me reduce it again. Okay, there we go, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, and so on and so forth. So that's how this one works. Now, if I use the break statement inside the inner for loop, and I say if, which one can I say? If j is equal to, if j, remember j stops at 2. So if I don't want to see 2 in the output for the j side, let me try to eliminate 2 for the output of the j side. I hope you get what I'm trying to achieve. I don't want to see 2 in the output for j or the y-axis here. I would say if j is equal to 2, what should we do? I want someone now to tell me what we can use. In my output here, I do not want to see 2 in the output. Should I use the break keyword or I use the continue keyword? Yes, who would love to? Yes, Sathak.
Continue.
I use
Sir,
continue.
we should use continue keyword.
We use continue.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
let's try it. Continue and then terminate. Then when I save, let me first clear here. Run this. You can see there is no more 2 on the J side. There is no more 2. So whenever the compiler meets 2, it ignores it. It ignores it and continues. Let's try it with break. Okay, even break would work for this case too, since it is a this is something small. It was still stopping at 2. So even break would work for this case, but continue works better if I particularly wanted to avoid having 2. It is continue keyword which works for this case. But now I want to bring in our concept of labeled breaks for nested loops. So how about if I want to avoid having a 2 even on the I side, which means I want 2 ignored in the inner loop and also ignored on the outer loop. Not only ignored in this one, because for this case it has been ignored for the inner loop. You don't see it anywhere here. So I want it also ignored here so that I stop seeing it here. So what I would do, I would label this outer loop. I can call it outer loop. That's how we label loops. You write the name and then you put colon before you be at the beginning of the loop. Then here when I'm saying continue, I'll say continue outer loop. So this time now when I run this code, the 2 will be ignored even for the outer loop. Okay, are we there? Oh, it has not been ignored. Why? Okay, let's use break. Let's use break. Break outer loop. Okay, so you can see here, I think this labeled thing works with, I think that's why it is even called labeled break. It works with the break keyword, and maybe with the continue keyword, it works in a different way. But for this incident, it works with the break keyword. So if you label your loop like this, I labeled the outer loop, I named it outer loop. So when I write the break keyword followed by the word outer loop, it will not only break out of the inner loop, but also the outer loop also, although the condition is for the inner loop. I don't know whether this concept is okay. If it is not, you can ask a question. Anyways, I want to move into functions. Functions, I won't spend much time on functions because they are similar to functions in other programming languages. They are for code reusability, organization, programs into smaller pieces, readability, and so on. So, what is the syntax? Okay, let me have something new. Okay. Okay. Sorry for that. Okay, void main. So I want to experiment with the functions here. Okay, so I want to write a function which does what? Which greets me. Okay. So the syntax for a function, you should have the return type, and then the function name. I'm calling it greet user. Then you can have parameters here. You can or cannot have them. Let me have them. I want it to take in the username, then it greets that specific user. That's what I want this function to do. It is called greet user. I'm saying void, it doesn't return anything. I know you know the theory behind returning, that's why I'm not going into details. It does not return anything, but then I want it to greet the user. So I'll say print hello, you. Then I save. When I save this, okay, let me run this. Let me just run this for now. And there we go, we have nothing. There we go, we have nothing. Let me run it again. Okay, nothing. So, this is a question. Why? Why is it that we have no output? I've printed something here. You can see I'm printing something here. Hello, how are you? But I'm not seeing anything being printed, no error being thrown, and that's it. Why? Anyone who can share with us why is the program not printing anything? Yes. Okay. Yes, Edwin.
Okay. I think here, okay, we have a function, greet user, then we gave it a very, sorry, name. So here, when we print hello, and then we, it's not printing because we have not called the function.
Yes,
I
yes.
think just because we have not called the function.
Yes, you are right. So, you're absolutely right. That's the reason why it was not printing anything. We've initialized, we have defined a function here, but we have not called it. A function has to be called before it does what you want it to do. So let's call this function. Like I talked about the main function earlier on, even if you have many other functions, they have to be called within the main function for them to execute. So that's why this function was not executing, because its piece of code is not within the main function. So let's call it within the main function. When you call it, it will ask you for the name. So you give it the name. That's the parameter or the argument for this case. Here you give it as a parameter. Here it is a parameter. Here Simon is give it an argument, Simon. Now, when I execute, hello Simon, how are you? So you can see now it's printing. I can call this same function again. I can call it again, and this time give it another name. I can give it Edrin, and still call it greet user and give it another name, Tracy. Okay, Tracy. And when I run, hello Simon, how are you? Hello Tracy. So this is the main thing to do with functions. The code I have in my function is basic, but you will write functions which have a lot of functionality behind them, and you do not want to repeat yourself. Like I said, you need to be smart when writing your code. So that's why we have functions. So whenever I want to do something like this, I'll just be calling this function, but I will not be repeating this. I'll just be changing the arguments. I call the function, give it a different argument. Call it again, give it a different argument. And life moves on. That's how functions work, guys. So, my slides are telling me to stop here, although there is something I want to add on. Okay, I've not let's try when the function returns something. For example, let's have a function. Let's have a function. Let's assume we shall be calculating area of a rectangle somewhere, and we don't want to be repeating that. We just be wanting to call a function. Whenever we call it, we just give it length, width, it calculates the area. We meet another rectangle, we give it the area, the length and width of that particular rectangle, it returns the area. So let me create a function which does exactly that. So I'll say I want it to, whenever I call it, it just returns the area. An area, I suppose it will be an integer. That's why this time I'm using int, and I'll call it find. Okay, let me call it get area. You maintain this naming convention. Is it camel case? Then what do I want to give it? Every time I call it, I want to give it the length and width. Okay, and for it will be returning. So it is throwing this error because it has not seen the return keyword. Give it the return keyword goes away. So what should it return? It should return length times width. That's what it should return when I call it. So whenever I call it, whenever I meet a rectangle anywhere whose area I don't know, I need to find the area, I'll just be calling this area. Hey, get area, where are you? I have a rectangle here, length this, width that, what's the area? And that's what it will return. So in my main, remember, after defining your function, you must call it in your main method for it to do what you want. So, okay, let me call it. I'll say get area. Okay, I've come across a rectangle. it is 12 centimeters length and 10 centimeters of width. Okay, let me first freeze these first 3 lines. Okay, and run. That program must have a main function defined. Okay, invoked that programs must have a main function defined. So that's the error we are getting, and it is not printing. Okay. So this time it is not giving any output, and I want to throw the question back to you. Let me put this closer so that we can see this at the same time. Okay. So I've defined my function here, get area, with the parameters length and width, and I've told it to return length and width whenever it is called. Then I've called it within my main function, and I've given it arguments of length and width. But I'm printing it is not returning anything. So I'm throwing the question to you. Why do you think this program is not printing anything? Where do you think the error is? Yes, who? Edwin?
I think here when you say return, you have not included the printing part where it should print. You just said return length times width, but then it's not printing it to the console. So how is that? Yeah, I think that's the.
Right, Edwin is right. So I've called this function called get area. It is like sending someone to the shop, because that's what the functions do. You just send it to do something and it returns the output. For example, I can send, let me see who can send Frank to the shop. And I say, Frank, go and buy me some what? Some sugar. Yeah, and I just give them the money. Then when they bring the sugar, they don't know where I stay, which means they will bring the sugar and remain with it because they don't know where I stay. This is the same thing that is happening here. So we have called a function called get area. We've told it to get area and it has gotten it, but we've not showed it where to put it. So it has found it, but held it, and we have to show it where to put it. That's where the main thing is. So which means we can create here a variable where this function can store its whatever it would have found as the answer. So I'll say var area equals to that. So the answer which the function will return, it will be stored in a variable called area. And now when I print area, now I can print area from this. And there we go, it is printing 120. It is now printing the area as 120. So this is the concept of functions. There are other advanced concepts to do with functions, but we shall be seeing them as we move on. Is there any questions to do with functions? If you have any question to do with functions, you can raise it now. Meanwhile, let me do a final example here to do with functions. There are some parameters. We've looked at parameters here. Okay, these parameters we have seen here, these are default parameters. But then we want to look at what we can call optional parameters. So, okay, let me use something here. Let me create one that returns a string. What? Okay. Let me string return return city. I want to create a function here which can return different cities. If you call it, it returns okay, something like that. It returns different cities according to the arguments which you give it. So I'll have string city one. Suppose you're in different countries, and whenever you call it, you want it to return cities in that country. City 2 string city 3, and finally string city 4. Oh, okay. Then so that is our function. Then the function body, we want it to return. Want it to okay. Is your city? Is your city? Oh, what error? What error? I expected to find. Okay, all right. Then we can duplicate this. Anyway, let's have it return nothing. Then let's have it like this. Then this, let me make this 2, this 3, this 4. Okay, is your city. Okay, so I now want to call this function. Since this is printed here, I can just call it and give it arguments. So I'll say, how was it called? How is the function called? Return city. Return city. So you can see the moment you choose this method here, you'll find this option telling you have an option of entering 4 city names here. So I can have, okay, Kampala. I can have, okay, Mbarara. What else? Which other city? People from Cab. Is Cab a city? People from Cab, Kalanzi, Tracy, Ram. Is Cab a city? Hey, people might have left.
It's not a ship, it's just a town.
Hey, not
It's a
Stacy.
municipality.
Okay, okay, okay. So when I run that, Kampala is your city, Mbarara is your city, Guru is your city, and so on and so forth. So let me try to freeze this other methods here. I want this method to come closer. Okay, get area. Okay, we can ignore this and also ignore that. So I want now to introduce the concept of optional parameters. So you see these are what we call the parameters: CT1, CT2, CT3, and CT4. Those are the parameters for this function. And what I have here, when I'm calling the function, what I put inside here, these are the arguments. The arguments we have Kampala, Barara, Guru, and Bale. So I want to bring in the concept of optional parameters. Now let's say I want to not be forced to mention all the four to fill the places for all the four parameters, which means some parameters are optional. So for that case, we use this. Okay, it is throwing an error there. We can use that to avoid the error. That question mark there is for bypassing that error. So when I save this, let me comment this and try to call it again, return city. You can see it is showing me only two parameters that I must enter. So I can enter my Kampala and Barara. Do we have people from Barara on this call? You can say hi to us. Just no big deal. We don't have people from Barara. Okay. People from Kigali on this call. Okay. Anyways, so when I run this, you can see Kampala is your city, Mbarara is your city, Nal is your city. So when you have, because we do not have options for this, we did not enter cities for parameters 3 and 4, they are automatically null. Okay, let's see whether we can enter them here. Nevertheless, Jinja. You can see when you enter Ginger, it is accepted. And we just have one null left, which we can. Okay, for this last one, let me introduce the final concept with optional parameters. So you can also set a default value for a parameter here. For example, CT4, I can set it to automatically have Kigali. So if a default parameter is set like that, when you're calling the function, you don't insert its value. For it is just there. So you can see Kigali is your city has been included. But let's say I want to have something else. Guru. So Guru is taken. So the concept here is that Kigali was set as a default parameter here. This is a default parameter. Sorry guys, with time I've mixed some concepts here. We have looked at default, optional. We have looked at default and optional parameters at the same time, but they are almost the same concepts. So Kigali was a default, was given as the default value for parameter CT4. But if when you're calling the function, you give a different value, this value will take precedence over what was given as a default value. So it is what will be printed here. And that's why we are having Guru is your city. But if I remove Guru from here, it will still have Kigali back. Okay, with that, I would love to stop at this. Maybe if there is a question, someone can raise a question, but I would love to stop at this. Yes, Edwin.
Yes, in that same concept, like what you have been talking about, there is also something called required, like where you attach required to a given string. I want you to throw more light on that.
Okay, required. For the interest of time, let's, Edwin, let's look at required tomorrow. For the interest of time, let's look at required tomorrow. I know people are already exhausted. And yeah, maybe if there's any other question. Okay, then if there is no other question, I want to hand the mic back to our dear host, Boniface, to carry on.